And this video is going to be on how to make a banana chocolate bread, or a chocolate banana bread. You could make it a banana nut bread if you want to put nuts in there, but a lot of people are allergic to nuts, so there will be no nuts in my bread. What you're going to do, this video is going to be really long. All my videos are long, so if you don't want to watch a long video, go find someone else that's going to help you out here. Please do a thumbs up, a subscribe, or a like, and if you like my videos and you want to donate to my PayPal channel, ask me for that info. And if there's a product you want me to review, let me know. If I can get a hold of it, I will do that. So now that we've got all that out of the way, the first step is you are going to take 1 cup of sugar. I've got a humongous bag of sugar I picked up from Costco that I'll never use. But 1 cup of sugar and 1/3 cup of canola oil. And you are going to put it in a large bowl and you're going to cream it together using a wood spoon. So really what that means is that you'll take your sugar and you put it in the bottom of the bowl, and then you pour your canola in there and you just mash it. You try to mash it till the sugar absorbs all the oil and it just becomes like a gunk of sugar, a pile of sugar. I don't like doing it. I've done it that way. I don't like doing it that way, so I am going to do it the quick way, the easy way. Again, I have not made this thing. I used to make this like once a month, if not more. I haven't done this in years, so this is going to be a new thing for me also. So I'm going to be taking 1 cup of sugar. I just washed everything down. You do not want, is that right? 1 cup of sugar? Yeah, that's why I stopped making this, because I freaked out at the amount of sugar. Usually what I do is I make stuff like this and then I give it to other people and I don't eat it. And I let them get the diabetes. Okay, so that is a lot of sugar, and it's enough. There's almost enough in there. That's 1 cup. There's just, I know a lot of people say you got to go the exact amount. Let's just go a fraction more. Okay, now it's even. It's even enough for me. That's all I care about. So I'm going to get the sugar out of the way. I have no room in this kitchen. Oh, if I had a wife, then I'd have a clean kitchen. Okay, so I've got the 1 cup of sugar. Now I've got to get, you don't really need that many containers. You need the 1 cup of sugar. You need the 1/3 for the oil. You might need a half a cup container, half a cup measuring thing for taking the flour out. If you don't want to use a whole cup thing, you can use 2 half cups. So the first step is we're going to do 1 cup of sugar, and we're going to do 1/3 a cup of canola oil. You never want to pour it over the mix, because if you over pour, you've ruined the sugar. So that is why I am going to pour it over the sugar, because I'm not going to follow my directions because I don't have another place to do this. So I've got about 1/3 a cup of canola oil. Let me tell you something about oil. I made this thing one time, and somebody who I used to know, who was kind of crazy, she says, "Hey, this oil doesn't taste right." She said, "Your oil is spoiled." Like, well, how do you know that? And she says, "I have a really good palate, and the oil is not fresh." And I went home, and wow, I never knew that there was an expiration date on oil, but there actually is. So, check the expiration date on your oil. This video is mostly for beginners that have never cooked before, like me, that have no clue what they're doing. So this is what you end up getting, a bunch of sugar and oil. It's kind of nasty. Okay, hold on, I got to get the dog out here. What you would do is you would... Oh, she just wants to come in because there's food here. What you would do is you would mash it together. And I don't want to do that. It's not that hard to do if you don't have a mixer. Somebody gave me a mixer, and so I just found, wow, it's so much easier to make this thing with a mixer. In fact, what I used to do is I would just throw everything in here and mix it all together, and I'd be done with it. But I'm going to put it on, how do you turn this thing on? I told you it's been a while since I've done this. Okay, so I'm just going to mash it together a little bit. Let's try to look in there. You just want it to absorb everything. And if you do this with a wooden spoon, it takes forever to do. But with a mixer, it's really quick. Okay, I'm trying to get the camera to angle properly. There we go. Without a doubt, the easiest recipe you will find for this. And it actually is incredible. People say, wow, you made this. It doesn't take that long to do it. It's going to take me long because I'm recording it, but after you throw just a few ingredients together, you pop it in the oven for an hour, and then you let it cool. Pop it out of the pan, and wow, everybody thinks you're amazing. Okay, so you can see the consistency now. It's kind of like gunky, looks like a snow cone in a way. So on to the next step now. That was the first step. Next step is we're going to stir in 2 cups of flour. Now, I didn't know this at the time because I used to make this all the time, like I said. And then I went to the store a couple weeks ago and I saw pre-sifted all-purpose flour, and there was bleached and unbleached, and I had no idea what the difference was. So I looked it up, and in this case, you really want to use the bleach. So if you've never cooked before, if you've never baked, just go buy a bag of flour. Is really cheap. The dog is right at my foot right now because she wants to be in here helping me cook. Wants to be in here every time I make a YouTube video and anytime there's food. So hold on a minute. She is saying, hey, I want to be in the video too. Look at me. Come on, come on, come on. All right, so back to the cooking. Soup. Get my 1 cup measuring thing that I used for the sugar, and I'm going to mix out the, measure out the flour, and I'll just show you what it looks like when I am towards the end of that. Every time I measure out the sugar, let's see, can we look at this? It bent the handle. I know these are cheap, but it bent the handle because the sugar was so heavy and thick. So that's why sometimes you want to have a spoon. Makes things a lot easier, especially, I've never bent the measuring thing before on the sugar, but it was a brand new 5-pound bag. I think it's a 10-pound bag of sugar. So with the flour, this is why it's a lot easier to do this with a half. Wait, hold on. Out. Go. The dog is in serious begging mode right now. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing over here. No, you can't see what I'm doing because the camera's too tall. Not tall enough. What am I saying? All right. I think we're good now. So what I'm doing here is I've got my 1 cup and I've got my half cup, and I'm just going to place the... Is this showing on the cam? I told you my videos were going to be long. So I'm just going to place the flour on the top. It's over the top, I think you can see. And then I'm just going to get a knife. Is this showing? Yeah. Get a knife, and I'm not going to press down. I'm just going to level it off the top. I've got my 1 cup of flour, which I'm going to put in the container right now, the mixing thing. And if you didn't have a mixer, like I said, you could just do it the other way. For me, I'm just going to, if you have those big containers, if you have separate containers that you're not digging into a bag, this is a lot easier. But I just bought this, so I'm going to use this half cup to do the measuring of the 1 cup. Flour I would definitely not skimp on because you don't want your bread to come out messed up. So I'm going to overfill this 1 cup thing. Shake it a little bit to level it out, and then you don't want to press down on the container. You just want to take a knife, level it off, and then put it in your container. Now that it's in the container, we're almost done actually. Let me get the flour out of the way. And what we need to do now is we are going to stir the 2 cups of flour. Mix that all up with the sugar. So it's really not that hard. If you were doing this with a wooden spoon, it'd be a little different. It's definitely a lot faster with a mixer. So now I'm going to turn this off and raise this up just so that I can get in here and do some mixing. Oh, dog saw the flour hit the floor and she wants flour. No. and you really don't have much of a, it's flour. You want to get the sugar off the bottom. The dog is looking at the flour. No! She learned leave it in her training class this week. Again. And she's being very good, but I'm going to have to shut off the camera and clean this up. It's mixed up now where I'm just going to add a pinch of salt. I don't use salt for anything. I don't even know what a pinch of salt is. It's just a little bit of salt, I think, to give it flavor and to help the dough rise, or who knows. You know, we are bachelor cookers, bakers. We don't need to know this stuff. Just put in a pinch of salt, and then you are going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm going to get out the baking soda. We got, I said 1 teaspoon of baking soda. This is half a teaspoon, so we've got half. And then let's just do one more, a little bit over, because the other one was a little bit under. So we've got our baking soda. And we've got the baking soda and the salt in there. What you're supposed to do, you can make this with 3 or 4 bananas. You really want the bananas to be like this. You don't want them to be, hold on, the dog's back in here. Okay, so you want it to be even browner than this. You kind of want it to be nasty brown, mushy brown. But what you're supposed to do, if you don't have a mixer, maybe even if you have a mixer, you're supposed to take the bananas and mash them on a plate. And so you can see how this is not that hard to do, but it's labor intensive. Because if you don't have a mixer, then you're doing a lot of mixing and mashing. And oh, great, I just threw the peel in the sink. Okay, whoops. So I'm going to take the 3 bananas and I'm going to put them in here. And then, if you were doing this, you would mash it on a plate, and then you would put it into the bowl and mix it. And since I've got the mixer, I'm not going to do the mashing. I'm just going to put it on the mixer. Oh boy, it's slopping all over the place. And I'm just going to let the mixer break up the banana and start to absorb some of the flour. And now you can see that it's starting to look like a gunky mess, but it is looking better than it did before. Let's zoom in a little bit. The more it mixes, the more it's starting to come together now. And then we're going to add the moisture here in a minute. But now it's starting to look like bread, or like a yeah, I guess like bread. It's starting to look like a dough. Whereas before it was all dry flour. You got the bananas in there now, and it's starting to look a little gunky, like a cake mix or a little pasty bread mix. Okay, I'm going to shut up. And if you were doing this with a wood spoon, you would have to mash all of this together into the flour. And with the mixer, it's just so much easier. So we're almost done. We really are almost finished. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to add 2 eggs, and we're going to mash the bananas into the, well, we've already mashed the bananas, but we're going to mash the bananas and the flour and the eggs together to finish it off. Advice: you never want to crack an egg over a bowl like this, because if you get a shell in there, good luck getting it out. And if you end up with a broken egg or some other gunk inside the egg, you've kind of ruined your whole batter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack the egg over the 1 cup measure thing that I used before. There it is. We have the 1 cup. We've got the egg over there. It looks good. I'm going to pour it in. We're going to do 1 last egg. Did not crack right. Cracked. And so really, by putting it in a cup, in a measuring cup or a bowl, you're able to see that everything is fine. And everything is fine there. It's not a double yolk. It's not a broken anything. So we've got our 2 eggs in there. And I think that's all we've got to do. 2 eggs. Now we're going to mix it. As soon as all right. Dog is back in the room, so hold on a second. Got our eggs in there. And now it's starting to look really good. Yes. And some people might say, don't over-mix it, you're under-mixing it, you're over-mixing it. It still hasn't broken the yolks. There, okay, the yolks are broken now. And what I want to do, this is a really good banana bread. It's kind of bland. Not really bland, but it's not massively flavorful. But it's, I like it. I think it's really good and it's easy. And people will be impressed that you made it. And everybody will think that you're awesome. And that's the whole point about life, is everyone needs to know how awesome you are. That is the key to life. Remember, if you're looking at the idiot that's in the White House right now, oh, that's going to make me lose a couple viewers. If you're looking at that fool that's in the White House, it's always me, 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 me. So, let me turn this off. There it is. That's half a cup of chocolate bits. Now you're starting to see how awesome this becomes. Because when you put a whole cup of chocolate in there, and it melts into the mix, oh my God, is it just incredible. Dog is looking, saying, I want those, I want them. Now I'm going to go in here and hit the mixer, and that's where it kind of bumps around because it's got all those chocolate bits in there. But look at that. Let me get the camera down in there. Look at that beautiful mix. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my baking pan out. And what you do with the baking pan is you want to put shortening. You can use a spray if you want. I don't like those butter sprays. I just don't think they leave an odd taste, at least to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put shortening on the inside of the pan, obviously now on the outside, and then I'm going to put a little bit of flour in there and coat it, wiggle it around. I'm going to be using a standard baking pan, bread pan. I don't even know how big this is, but they come in one size. It's a standard bread baking pan. If you need the exact dimensions, ask me and I'll leave them in the comments. So take some saran wrap, some plastic wrap, wrap it around your fingers. I know it's not that easy to do, but wrap it around your fingers best you can. Get the tips of your fingers, and then what you want to do is dip it in. Am I zoomed down enough? Yeah, get some of this. You don't need a lot of shortening, but believe me, the more shortening you use, the better off it is in the end. And so the saran wrap is just so that you don't get all this gunk on your fingers and have to wash off grease, which is not that easy to do. So you want to get it, definitely want to get it in the corners. The neat thing, if you get a good pan, it will definitely pop out of the pan without a problem. And like I said, some people love using the spray things instead. I just don't like, for me, I don't like the taste. Maybe I wouldn't know if somebody else did it, but I did it before and I didn't like the taste that left. So now that I've got the pan coated, we are definitely almost finished. It's about the time now that you really want to preheat your oven to 350, 350. That's Fahrenheit. If you live in Europe or some non-US place, I have no clue what Celsius is for that, but 350. So what else do we need to do? We want to go over now and get. Okay, great. Hold on. I know you can't hear me. This is probably too much, but you want to put some flour. That's all right. I have enough. You want to put some flour in the pan after you coat it. And then all you want to do is just knock it around. And you can see where, like right over there, I didn't get enough coating of... I'm going to go over the sink now and get this around the edges, because it's probably going to... Some of it's going to fall into the sink when you're doing this. You don't have to have it perfectly coated with flour, because you've already coated it with... So now I turn it upside down over the sink, hit the bottom, and so we see we've got enough flour in there, not 100%, but enough flour, and it's starting to look really good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the mixer one last time, Mix it just for a few seconds because it's been sitting there while I've been doing all this other stuff. It looks delicious. It looks really good. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to raise this thing up and let the gunk fall off. If you're not using a mixer, you don't have to let all the gunk fall off. And oops, for me, I just put the spatula in the sink, so we'll get that all cleaned off. If you're rich and you can afford 2 spatulas, you won't have to wash. You won't have to wash it again, at least for a week or 2. Okay, I'm joking. Okay, so we've got everything dripping off of the batter is dripping off of this thing. So what I'm going to do now is, I can't even remember how to remove this. Hold on. How do you remove this thing? I do not know how to, I don't remember how to remove the blade. So I'm going to unscrew this thing, and what I'm going to do now is put the pan over here, and I'm going to fill the batter into the pan. The dog is not happy with me. She wants her batter. This works out a lot easier when I don't have a camera right in front of the counter, so I'm able to do what I need to do. So that's why I kind of look like I'm clueless right now. So you're just going to scoop everything out of the pan. And that's why you want a spatula, so you can scoop it out. You can see there's just enough batter that when it cooks, the bread is going to go right over the top of the pan. The oven is already set. Let me give you some advice. I've got you get a thermostat, get a thermometer, and measure the temperature of your oven. Most ovens are off by like 25 to 50 degrees, and most people don't know that, and so they end up screwing up their cooking and their baking. My oven was off by about 75 degrees, but I posted a video on here on how to calibrate my oven, how to calibrate a lot of ovens. But if you can't calibrate yours, then just go in there and set the temperature to compensate for where it's off. So now we've got the batter. And the other thing you want to do is when your oven goes off, even though it's calibrated, when your oven goes off, when it says beep, it's at the right temperature, don't put stuff in right away. Keep it in there for like another 10 minutes. Keep the temperature on for another 10 minutes. And then put it in, because it really helps to stabilize the oven. I know the minute you open up the oven, all the heat goes out, but you really want things to stabilize. So now I'm going to pop this in the oven. You're going to put this in the oven, like I said, 350, and we're going to cook it for 1 hour or until the top is golden. And golden is whatever you consider golden. I know, I got to figure that out. So I'll be back in an hour. This is going to go right into the center of the oven and cook for an hour at 350. There it is, people. I don't want to get too close to the oven because it's 350 degrees of massive heat is pouring out of the thing right now. Close the door. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Absolutely incredible. And when it's removed from the pan, because I use the grease and the flour after everything cools down, you want to keep it in the pan. Do not remove it. If you try to remove it, it's still soggy. It's still cooking in the pan, and you'll make an absolute mess. Keep it in the pan, keep it out, and just let it cool naturally. It's going to take probably an hour, at least an hour, maybe longer. But while it's in the pan, it is cooking, and it is finished, though. And it tastes incredible. It looks incredible. And that is how you make a chocolate banana bread or a banana chocolate bread. Thanks for watching my extremely long video. Please do a thumbs up, subscribe, a like. If you want to donate, hey, it will keep me out of the... it will keep me in the kitchen. Keep me in the kitchen making all these awesome videos for everybody. So thanks for watching. That's it. There it is, people. Lots of chocolate. It's delicious. Doesn't have as strong a banana flavor, probably because the bananas were not very, very, very ripe with the skins brown, but it is still incredibly delicious.